Hello and welcome to the Real Deal Trio podcast, where we dive deep into the world of real estate, business, and personal growth. I'm your host, Yahya Chatani, joined by my esteemed co-hosts, Mohit Badlani and Phil Mariani. Together, we bring you a wealth of knowledge and expertise to help you navigate through the complexities of the real estate market, unlock business success, and cultivate a life of balance and fulfillment. So get ready for insightful conversations, actionable advice, and also a whole bunch of inspiration. So let's dive in.
Welcome everyone. We are now almost on our episode. What is it? Episode 4 now? This is episode 4.
Yeah.
Wow, man. We're chugging them away, man.
Consistency.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it consistent. Trying to give you guys all the best content we can provide you guys with, and get you all the information that we have in Florida. Right? We can talk about Florida. That's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna talk about the new laws in Florida. We got some new laws in Florida. Can you explain what this law is? Yeah.
So did you guys see that? This new thing has taken everybody by storm. It's the DeSantis signs law to remove squatters' rights.
Okay.
Did you guys read up on it?
Actually, I did read up on it a little bit. Yeah. So if you can explain to the audience, what is a squatter first?
So I let Phil take over because I saw the news come up, but I didn't read the whole thing. And I know Phil, he's like, I dove into it. Come on, Phil, give us the download.
I got the
so what
short
exactly
version of it.
is a squatter?
You got the short version?
No worries.
What is a squatter first? Do we know what a squatter is?
I mean, essentially, I don't know the definition, I'd say, but essentially, obviously,
the proper definition. Let me look up what the proper definition is. I know what they are.
Of it is somebody that takes over a vacant premises that should not belong there. They don't have a lease. They're not leasing the house. They don't have a lease. They don't own it. They don't have ownership rights to the house. They're just somebody that sees a vacant house and they take advantage of that opportunity and they probably enter it unlawfully and they reside there for a certain period of time before they get caught.
Yeah. So this will blow you away. So I want you guys to correct me here, okay? Because I know a little bit about it.
Go for it.
So I'm going to read the definition. The definition is a squatter is a person who occupies a piece of property or land without the permission of the owner, right?
Correct.
Now, based on Florida law, correct me if I'm wrong here. If you occupy somebody's property without their permission for 7 years or more, you have ownership rights. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Is that still current? That law that was.
That is no longer current.
Yeah, I was going to say. I don't think that's still in effect.
The previous law.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. This new law just kicked it out of the place.
Right? So that's crazy,
but
though. Like
here's the thing. It actually, squatters initially, I know it's changed over time, but initially it was squatters would take over, abandoned buildings or vacant land. And, so no one would claim it, right? And then eventually it'd be theirs because they've lived there for forever or generations now. Now those squatters are no longer there. They're going into actual homeowners' homes and rooms and bedrooms and squatting there and saying, "Hey, I have squatters' rights here."
Yeah. We see that all the time. I mean, obviously, I do a lot of work with institutional sellers, and especially on bank-owned homes, REO homes, we see it all the time. So there's still people squatting because the homes are owned by a bank, so it's not like the owners swinging by there and things like that. So
there's nobody monitoring the home.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no one monitoring the home, and it's initially for that purpose what squatters' rights were for abandoned buildings and vacant land, but over time it's turned into a monster. Which I mean, what is your guys' opinion on the law? Where can we just explain what was exactly passed here? So let me pull up the actual law here.
Essentially, from what I read is Santos he passed a law that anyone squatting, could be removed immediately, as soon as they found.
Yeah, that's exactly what I read too. It's called HB 621. It's going to go into effect July, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it is going into effect in July.
Is July a special month for laws to be passed?
July must be a special month for real estate agents.
No, I right? It's July for this. I think it's just trying to put the systems in place in order for them to actually roll out the actual law. You know what I mean? It just needs time, and sure they have to give it to somebody who writes the law or puts it into the Constitution or whatever, and they need to do to after the fact it gets passed, right? So, I don't know. Are there any laws that actually that go into effect immediately that are passed?
I don't think so.
I don't think I've ever seen it go into effect immediately.
Yeah.
Now there's also there's also one caveat to the law as well. I believe if there's over $1,000 worth of damage from that squatter, it's actually considered a felony.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they're making it even tougher on these squatters.
But I mean, think about this, guys. So think about this lady's case, though. I think the case that happened was this lady had squatters in her house, and she was trying to get them out, and people were telling her that they have rights to stay in this house for 20 days until a judge declares them to be in default. Now, if you got a loan from a bank, got to an agent, purchased a property, put it up for rent. Let's say it's not being rented. Somebody sees it. They go in and they start destroying your property. Who's responsible for that? Like, if you keep it a loophole, then obviously some people are in, tough spots. They might be going into foreclosure. Now you're going to add fuel to the fire here by destroying somebody's property. I mean, I know it's a little harsh, guys, but I think I agree with this in my position. Because if it's my hard-earned money and somebody's breaking into it, I should have the right to remove them. Right. You have no right to come to my property, right?
Right.
But I think other states are not as I think on the same wavelength as Florida. Like if you by force removed a squatter in a state like California, for example, you'd be in jail. So it's a very interesting position to be on.
I think it's a good thing because, like I said, there, between the amount of time lost between a squatter occupying a home and between damages, I mean, I just don't think that's fair to the homeowner,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I'm on the same page as all three of you guys, but I'm going to throw a wrench into it like I normally should. And now, like I mentioned earlier, abandoned buildings, vacant land, abandoned buildings and vacant land. So abandoned buildings, like Phil said, bank owned. No one's checking up on them. Do they, after a certain period of time, should they have rights to the property? Because they've now lived there. Now, some of them I even read somewhere, are even paying property taxes. Because they're getting the bills sent to them at the house. They're paying property taxes on the property for the last 7 years. Do you own the property then?
So wasn't that the law that we were talking about earlier? That, hey, if you, possess somebody's property like this, you trespass,
right,
or whatever, you live there for 7-8 years or something, and then you pay some bills. Right. That was a part of it. You pay certain bills or something, and now you can get transfer of ownership. But if it's an abandoned piece of property,
right, and
it's not like somebody's home that you're breaking into,
right,
it's locked up and you broke the door and you basically just invaded somebody's home,
right.
But if it's an abandoned building, like, hey, it's a project left over, nobody's touching it with, so much time.
Right.
I mean, people need a place to live, and if you are going to remove somebody, you can do it humanely. You don't have to be all crazy about it, right?
Don't call the SWAT team, please. we're not trying to call you for.
But
we're not trying to call you at Diddy's house here.
So you reminded me of something. So there was an interview, I think, of a police officer that came up where he said something. I was like, man, I can't believe he said that. He says, hey, the person that owns the home has rights, and if they were to use any kind of lethal force, that'd be okay
force.
Because we'd be okay with them doing that to save the city some money. I was like, wow, man, that's a little harsh.
I don't think a squatter is going to occupy a home, a home that's already occupied,
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
but I think to cover that question earlier, as far as damages, from what I heard, if it's more than $1,000 worth of damages done, that it will be considered a felony. So that might get squatters to think twice.
Yeah, you were mentioning another, I guess, a program, or I don't know what you snuck something in earlier. Yeah. I guess we're done with our squatters' rights things. I mean, squatters don't squat, please.
Don't squat, guys.
I guess
just do it right.
Yeah, don't squat.
Do it right. Go join Phil at the gym
right
and do
way.
some squats. You know what I mean? Drink some
protein.
protein.
You want to do is
build
at
some
the gym.
quads.
The only squatting you want to do.
The only squatting you want to do is at the gym, right, guys?
Yeah,
on a Smith machine.
On a Smith machine. Nah, come on.
Okay, we'll do leg press.
So I'm gonna bring a guy up. Phil, have you heard of this guy named Anatoly?
Yes. This guy is a beast.
Insane. This guy. So Phil, you gotta like him. So when you get off the show, watch Anatoly Powerlifter. This dude is like my weight, man. He's a little bigger than me, but he's lean, and he does 500-pound deadlifts.
with no problem,
like
without flinching.
And he does it in
Sometimes
a way.
he does it with one hand, bro.
Yeah.
One hand.
Snatch, huh?
Yeah. So he'll go to a guy like, like a huge bodybuilder doing like a 400-pound deadlift and like grunting
Yeah,
like,
I heard that, like in the gym, right?
right? And he'll be like cleaning.
he's
he'll be like, I'm
he's like a
cleaning,
janitor
I'm
or something,
cleaning,
yeah.
Right?
Oh yes, I seen that guy. Yeah.
And he just picks it up. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
the one who
man.
pretends to be a janitor. I saw that guy. That guy's a beast.
These-
People looking at him like, that's crazy.
It's insane how amazing that is, but yeah, squatters could join him, and he could probably train
I
them.
can't believe like the human body can do that. You see how big these bodybuilders are, and their arms are like at least like 26, 28 inch.
It's not an arm, dude. It's a leg. It's a leg.
That's Hulk Hogan's
Python.
part. They're like, brother, the 26-inch python, brother. But look at them, and they're having a hard time lifting this, and this skinny guy
Dude just
out of
comes in
nowhere
and just jacks it up. It's
I at first thought I was like, man, these dumbbells are fake. Or these plates are fake. After watching so many of them and actually hearing his side, because I think he speaks a different language.
He speaks
He's
Russian.
from like
Yeah,
another
Is that what
country.
he is? Is he Russian?
Yeah.
he speaks Russian,
with my wife.
but dude, the guy is awesome though. Like if you see it, he goes to people and says, "Hey, it's a fake weight. It's a fake weight." And you see people like, "Oh yeah, you think it's fake? Pick it up." And he's like, "Okay." He picks it up. It's fake. It's like, wow. It's like, dude, it's hilarious. But no, Mo, I was actually talking about something that I don't see a lot of loan officers talking about, and it surprises me.
Okay.
So when I bought my house, I'll share a quick story and then I'll dive into more. I wanted to move quickly. Remember we talked about it. I moved from Missouri back to Florida. So if you're in a market and you want to be sure your loan's going to close, typically it's a question that everybody wants to know the answer to. And a lot of people don't have the answer to it. So an upfront underwriting is what I did in my house. I'll go into this. So I did an approval, but I submitted the file to the underwriter and said, "Hey, can you give me all the conditions that I need for this loan upfront for this price range as a max," right? So the DTI, everything is worked out. The underwriter reviews it, gives a conditional approval and says, "Okay, you have these conditions to fill out or give in. And all you need to do is find a property, do an appraisal, have a purchase contract, and do the earnest money deposit and have the letter from the escrow team, order title, and basically just do your home inspection, be satisfied, it's okay. And we're good to go." That was it. So when I made the offer to a listing agent, I had the ability to call and say, "Hey, Phil, I can close this loan in 21 days. It's already been approved. Here's finance commitment," which normally you get afterwards. "Here you go. How do you want to do this? Full price offer. But I need this much in concession just to buy down the rate." It was so easy to do that loan. The seller was happy. The listing agent was happy. I was happy. It was a smooth close, no issues. So the reason I bring this up and share this is now I'm pushing more on this because I understand a lot of people are frustrated between the industry overall. And, a lot of, I think banks are a little slower in the way they do things, nothing against them, but it's just the nature of the business is not efficient, if you will. There's always surprises and snags and things that and I'm not trying to take a dump on my colleagues here, but if people are more responsible or more, aware of things, they could do this. Because surprises come up. The property could have issues, appraisal could have issues, could have delays. So the way to do this is if you're doing a loan approval, like a pre-approval, you could talk to your loan officer and say, "Hey, can you do a upfront underwriting on my loan? So that way I know exactly what I need to provide. And if I do get approved, and if that's the case, then you can use that as a stronger commitment to get a deal closed." Like I'm sure if I came to you or Phil, right? And I'm like, "Hey guys, I have an offer. I can close in as low as 21 days. I have everything approved. I have the loan approved," right?
Right.
"And here you go." Would your seller be happy? Because at the end of the day, the seller wants to pocket as much as they can. And the buyer wants to buy the house for whatever good deal they can get. But in a competitive market, which we're probably going to start seeing, sellers are going to consider that. Like, I get calls from listing agents that are friends of mine, and I think I've told Mo that you could do that too, is either ask for a LPA or a D report. It gives you a little insight into how strong the file is. And if you have 5 finance loans, one coming in at 5%, one coming in 3%. They're asking for 30-day close, 40-day close, and you're not having a very strong conversation. And then one comes in, even with a 5% down, but says, I can close in 21 days. My loan is approved. I just need your contract appraisal and let's get this rolling. So I think it's going to be very helpful. Plus, it will take away the pain of not knowing what can happen. Because you know that up front. You can digest it up front and know, okay, I have to figure out how to answer these questions for the underwriter. So when I'm in the loan process, it doesn't happen. What do you guys think?
It's kind of like submitting the file as like a to be determined.
Exactly. That's what we call it. That's exactly what we call it. TBD approval.
TBD.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no,
that's actually really, really cool.
It's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, the thing is, guys, the funny thing is it doesn't take any extra time in terms of like you're pre-approved. I'm like, hey, Phil, I'm going to submit your file for a TBD approval. It might take 3, 4, 5 days, right? Or maybe 6 days.
Right.
But would you prefer going in knowing exactly what you're going to have to bring to the table versus going traditional route? Nothing bad with that. But I think if your loan officer is able to do this for you, I would do that totally.
I think it's smart, especially once you start with a buyer, start looking at properties to have that ready to go. Because once you do find a home, you can submit that offer, but like, hey, all these things are already done,
Yeah.
Right. I already got the loan approval. Loan's approved.
Exactly.
Like
And
within 15 minutes, your loan's approved. That really not really, but you know what I mean.
No, I
How
get you.
quickly as you said it, yeah. But how often do you do that on a daily basis?
My preference, I want to submit every loan like that. So right now I've got 4 loans TBD underwritten. And one of them was actually a recommendation by the borrower themselves. So I was surprised. I was happy. But he's like, can you like approve me up front?
Do they have to ask for it or can you recommend it to them?
No, I recommend it.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Okay.
I
Does
personally
it cost them
do.
anything extra?
Nope, nothing. Costs me time, but nothing to the borrower.
I mean, yeah, obviously it costs you time, but I mean, you're doing the work up front anyway. So
Right.
on the back end, it's less work for you to do.
Exactly. And the thing is, I feel like it's more transparency because I can have an honest conversation with my buyer. I don't have to give you the runaround and say, hey, yeah, no, we could do it. And day 27, I'm like,
Because
oh,
they have
we
the
can't
information
close.
up front. They have
Exactly.
the information up front.
Yeah. And the thing is, with loans, most things, if you're doing agency loans like, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the regular conventional FHA loans, it's very standard guidelines. We can't get exceptions on those guidelines, right? It's very straightforward. So as long as you're within those parameters and the writer has said and signed, like, yeah, okay, as long as you match this and don't screw anything up here, right? Don't get a TBD approval, then go buy furniture and think it's not going to work. Don't, because your debt to income ratio, everything has been calculated. So in my case, like if somebody's pre-approved for, let's say $550,000, that's the max. Anything under that, they're good. Everything is fine, right? We've discussed monthly payments, the maximum payments, maximum down payment, maximum closing costs, maximum interest rate. So you have everything you need. So now if you go on a Saturday to make an offer, you could be like, hey, here's my loan commitment. I can give you that too. So it's stronger. It's not just a pre-approval. It's like, hey, here's a loan commitment from the underwriter, signed, dated. So I'm good. So let's get this going, right? And who doesn't want to close fast? So I think I find it to be a cool way to do business, I think.
I think it adds a lot of value as well. I can't tell you a couple of times where my wife, where she represented a buyer and she would have, the loan officer, call and say, hey, listen, this already verified income assets. This person, I already discussed, like you said, already went over the buyer with interest rates, payments, are good with everything. And we actually were able to beat out a conventional buyer, which are usually most of the times, kind of preferred with an FHA offer because of the fact the loan officer did exactly the steps that you did and got on the phone with the listing agent at the time and went over the information. So that's huge, man. I think it adds a lot of value and separates you from the rest and can actually help your buyers win offers that way as well. So that's very smart.
Thank you. And that's the game, right? We serve our clients the best way we can. So I think it's going to be something that I hope our listeners can take advantage of and learn and use this term and tell your loan officer if you're financing or your realtor that, hey, connect me with somebody who does this. Because see, on my side as a professional, it doesn't cost me more than a few extra steps. But I feel that for transparency purposes, if you take a scenario, let's do a fun scenario. Let's say your credit score is 600 exactly, and you get a TBD approval on an FHA loan, but you're now going to start looking for homes. The cool thing is, if you got pre-approved at 600, you know your interest rate's not going to be the best. Right. But if it takes you 2-3 weeks to find that house, we're not doing a hard credit pull. So here's another cool thing I'll tell you. When we do our loans, we don't really do hard credit pulls right away. And there's a couple of reasons why. First, people are always scared. Oh, it's going to be a hard pull. It's going to bring my score down. Yes, it is going to bring your score down. Next, if it's a hard inquiry, it stays on your report. So if you don't buy a home, it's going to stay there for a little time, right? So with a soft pull, I could still do a pre-approval for conventional FHA, VA, non-QM loans. The only one that requires an actual hard pull is a USDA, but we don't do a lot of those unless it's necessary. So if I do a soft pull, I pre-approve you. You didn't get a credit ding on yourself. The only time I need to request a hard pull is once the appraisal is ordered and received. So once the appraisal comes in and you decide, okay, do I want to move forward or not? At that point, I have to decide, okay, do I want to order the hard report? And if you proceed, that hard report is not going to hurt you. But if you didn't proceed, I don't need to do the hard pull. So now we're good. So that's another benefit to doing a soft pull on yourself and getting that done, that if you don't find something, you're off the hook. Nothing bad happens. So I think a combination of that plus upfront underwriting really gives you the transparency. So I think definitely look into it, learn about it, reach out to us. I think we have our information at the bottom of this podcast. So please let us know. We'd love to.
That's right.
Another question, I get this often, or you probably get often. If I do a hard pull, approximately how many points will your score drop? I really haven't seen it drop that much.
No, it generally doesn't. It depends. It could be anywhere between 3 to 8 points generally. Right.
That's what I always see.
It's not heavy, but the inquiry stays unless you buy. If you don't end up buying, or if you shop like 5 different companies but you buy with one, then those others fall off. Right. But if you don't buy and you just shopped 5 mortgages, then they'll stay on your credit report. But this gives you that time frame. So if you had a 600 score, but you didn't find a home for 30 days, having a soft pull, you can make those extra payments. You can improve your score because you're already pre-approved and TBD approved. So from 600, you get to 640, 650. That could be the difference of 0.5% or 0.25% interest rate, saving you potentially thousands of dollars.
Now, another question for you as well. I got in the past this. I've heard is let's say if you're got a consumer shopping for a loan, let's say they get a couple different pre-qualifications with a couple of different companies, loan officers. If they do all those pulls within the same 30 days, does that count as one pull?
It doesn't count as one
inquiries, I should say.
So that's what's going to happen. You're going to have different inquiries reflect on your credit, but when you close with one mortgage company, the others are not going to be there. They're going to fall off. Right. That's what's going to happen. But you have to end up doing something. If you do nothing and you have these multiple inquiries, then they are going to stay on your credit. Okay. It's like when you buy a car.
Clear some of that up,
Yeah, no, it's good. It's always good to ask that.
That's some good information there. That's some good information, kid. Yeah. You come in with some wealth of information, bro. Where'd you come from, bro? Total asset here.
Did you just call me an asshat?
No,
your asshead.
Asshat.
Dude, I got in trouble in school for that. Because I don't know what was going wrong with my brain. I was in my finance class, and the professor in college was like, so this is an asset. And I started laughing because all I heard was an asshat. And I got called up, and he's like, why are you laughing so hard? What's so funny? I'm like, you don't want to know. And he made me say it. And I'm like, when you said the word asset, I thought you said asshat, and everybody was dying in class.
Like, you're such an ass. You're so juvenile.
Listen, at the end of the day, I tell people, listen, we're professional. What we do as a real estate agency, you're a professional, you're a loan officer. That's why we refer you. Listen, anytime I get a question, I say, listen, that's a question for the loan officer. You do what you do best. I do what we do best, help people buy and sell homes, negotiate prices and things like that. So, that's why you're.
I hate it when agents try to do. I'm with you there, Phil. I hate it when agents try to do the mortgage lender's job and vice versa. Mm-hmm. I hate it when mortgage lenders try to do our jobs.
Agreed, man. Like if you're not, I would say licensed at least, or a professional in something, you're just misleading somebody and causing them damage. Like it's unethical in so many ways to do that.
It's one thing to have a
Unless
license,
you're
but
licensed for
at
both.
the end of the day, it's the experience. Closing loan after loan. That's where the real learning experience is, and how to.
Right.
I'm sure on the loan side is learning how to structure deals, because everything is unique and different. They have different moving parts, and same thing with our clients. So I just think it just comes over time with with experience, and that's what you can have all the licenses that you want, but if you don't have the experience to back it up, that's what makes the difference right there.
And that's gold right there, my man. So I got a question for you guys. How much do you think you would lose in about 25 to 30 years if you bought a Starbucks every single day? Right?
If you bought a Starbucks coffee every single day?
So let's say you went and bought a
My wife
Starbucks.
and daughter. Hold on a second.
How much money do you think you potentially lose?
Is this including inflation too? Because you're talking about 30 years. So how much inflation are you taking year over year?
That's a good question, bro. That's a good question.
So I'll give you guys what I came up with, right? So I was just thinking
So you used basic numbers. You didn't use inflation numbers.
No, and just so I used and basic investment. So what I did is I'm like, okay, if I'm spending today, what Starbucks like $5 or $8 about that, right? Between $5 to $8.
$6 is the average for
so let's say
a small
$6
cup of coffee,
right? But I'll give it an even more anti-argument. Say, okay, fine, I'll give it $5. Let's say you got the cheapest
$5.
Starbucks.
Yeah, make it
$5.
numbers. Yeah,
right. Not even. Mo. Mo's like,
that's for maybe like a cup of tea.
Yeah, it's like no worries. But let's say $5. So let's say you go to work 5 days a week. That's about $100 a month, right? That you're spending on Starbucks. Right. If you took that same money, $100 a month, and invested in a Roth IRA, which gives you a return of anywhere like 7 to 10% between that, and you were 25 years old and you did this, by the time you're 65, about 30 years later, that $100 a month translates on the lower end at 7% to about $240,000 in retirement funds. On the higher side at 10%, $500,000. So if you really think about it, by not making your coffee at home and go to Starbucks, you're literally pissing away $500,000, man. Like, just think about that.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Isn't that scary? Like,
you're absolutely right.
That's like,
you're
dude,
absolutely right.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, man,
right there, financial literacy.
Now you make me want to own a Starbucks, friend.
but it's crazy because when you really think about it and you calculate the cost, like I had a bakery in Malaysia in 2013 to 2017, a bakery and a restaurant. The most money we made was on drinks. It was not on food. Drinks had like 700% profit. All you take is like a lemonade syrup, Monet, I think that's what they would call it, Monets or some syrups. Put those, water, ice, $4. The cost of that was 30 cents. But
I don't know if you know, y'all, but me and my wife, we owned a smoothie franchise for about 7 years, so I can relate. And when we first started, I think the average prices for a smoothie was like about $3 to $4. Now it's close to $10. You know?
Yeah.
Jeez, inflation.
Yeah. And everything went up. Food costs, gas prices.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, like, think about that.
What was your cost, though?
Yeah.
What was your cost to making that, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean,
at that time,
my wife would remember the numbers better because she ran the numbers better. But I mean, at the end of the day, the cost wasn't very much because it was a franchise. So after paying, your food expenses, your labor costs, your food, franchise, you ain't left with much.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, man, like when we did the coffees, we were surprised because I'd never been in the food business before that. And we had our, coffee powders come in, espressos, this and that, machines. And we had a barista. Barista was the most expensive person to pay. But the coffee itself was very cheap. Like if you think about a cup of espresso, a Lavazza coffee espresso, it costed there about 30 cents or 40 cents a cup. And you're selling it for like $3.50 to $5, depending on the size. That's a lot of profit. A lot. So now if you're selling lemonades, other drinks and all these things, it was way more than us selling croissant and the chocolate breads and all those things, because you can make money on it, but not as much. But 700% profit. So when you think about that, it's like, man, I could make my coffee at home and I can retire with $500,000. Where it gets you to think, where else are you losing money?
Right.
Like it's mind blowing, dude.
Point. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, let's go to something a little more fun. Huh? I know me and you had a boring weekend. Me and Yaya had a boring weekend. Phil, on the other hand, had a very, very
he was
fun
partying.
party weekend. Huge party weekend. He got rained out a little bit, so he missed about a day and a half, or probably a day. But I'm sure he made it up some way, shape, or form. So tell us, Phil, what you do this weekend?
Oh man,
Where'd you go?
Exciting past weekend. Me and my wife and daughter, we actually were in Miami for the Ultra Music Festival. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Cool.
And we had a ton of fun, man. We were just listening to music, dancing all night.
Yeah, so tell us about it. How was the weekend? And I know everyone talked about it being rained out, and a lot of people were concerned that the whole weekend would be canceled. So tell me what your experience was like this weekend.
So obviously on Friday, the weather just kind of nosedived. It was kind of raining on and off the whole day. So we did go prepared. We did stop on the way and purchase rain jackets and ponchos, and so we did go prepared. And so we got there on Friday. And it was kind of raining on and off, and then it got to a point where it was just raining so hard it actually shorted out one of the pieces of equipment for one of the DJs. Actually tripped the power, and so he was out for about 5-10 minutes, and he came back on, and then it just continued to rain to a point, I guess, where they kind of were reporting tornado watches in North Miami. So they actually the city had to shut the festival down Friday night. So we ended early. We missed a couple of acts, but we made up for it on Saturday. The city let them go an hour later. Normally it would the festival would finish by 12 on a Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday they allowed them to go to 1 o'clock. We got an extra act in there, and weather was good. And then the Sunday was much better and drier. But I tell you, man, it was the festival was held at Bayfront Park for anybody that knows Miami, downtown Miami, right over the water. And Bayfront Park was, it was like, I think it was like, good enough to be a Tough Mudder. Then I think it went on there. It was so much mud and then puddles of water. It was crazy. I think over the middle of the night, Friday night, they were sending in trucks to pump out water. And I think they were blowing in wood chips to try to help, absorb some of the mud. But it got a little better by Sunday. But, listen, we made the best of it. We had fun, and it was a good event.
Good. Well, I know a couple of artists missed out. I know the earlier artists were got canceled or couldn't make up their time. But overall it was a good weekend. Everyone had a good time apparently. And then how often do you go to Ultra? Do you try to go to every year or when was your first year?
Yeah, 2022 was our first year.
All right.
And then 2023, and then this was actually our third Ultra event.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's pretty dope, man.
Yeah. So we have fun. We, kind of little weekend getaway with the fam, and we stay at a hotel close by where we can walk, and it's nice, like a totally different experience this year compared to the last few years, because we had a picture. Usually the weather is really nice in March, that nice spring weather where you're like, 75, 80 degrees, this sunshine, low humidity, which is perfect. And this time it was a totally different ballgame.
Flipped the script on you.
We had a nice day on Sunday. Sunday turned out to be a
Sunday.
nice day.
Sunday I saw it was good. It was good weather. Yeah.
But and then you just got that nice views of the water there as well in Miami, which is nice. But totally different experience this time. But it was nice. Great energy still. DJs, great job. Fireworks, this pyro and visuals, and it was just a good time.
Yep, I guess EDC tickets. So EDC happens here in Orlando. EDC tickets go on sale tomorrow.
Yep. So usually we attend that event as well.
Yeah,
which is right here in our hometown.
Yeah, I used to go there in the past, and then I stopped going, and then Phil got back into it.
I got you to go last year.
So I went last year.
I got to go. We did the VIP. We had a lot of fun, so we got to do it.
We had a ton of fun. Yeah, it was a cool experience. Have you ever done anything like that?
We got to go this year, man.
Have you ever done any of those types of festivals before?
So my friends used to go to Tomorrowland back in the day.
In Belgium.
Yep, and these guys were from Europe, so they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Tomorrowland." I'm like, "Dude, I can't go. I'd like to experience it because it looks super cool."
Yeah,
like everybody's just hanging out,
Phil's going
just
this
relaxed. You're going to Tomorrowland?
Yeah, we actually got tickets and hotel. The only thing we don't have yet is airfare, but we actually got tickets and I mean, it literally sells out. Tomorrowland sells out within a matter of 2 hours. It went on sale.
I know that's what I heard. Like as soon as it comes out, people are like crazy. They're like clicking their keyboards, like just try to get as many tickets as they can.
It's centralized. It's in Europe, so people from America, South America, everybody's come in there from all over the world.
Most of my partners, business colleagues, are Portuguese from Portugal, or France, or Italy, or Germany, and Belgium, like Swiss, all these different people. But we were all like in our 20s at the time, or younger. So everybody's like, man, I'm going to go to this place. And I was like, wow, you see these videos. It looks like an awesome experience, really. Cause
oh yeah, it looks like, I hear it's amazing. Like everybody said,
dude,
it's a good time of the year too, where it's,
when you see the videos like from their phones, because it's one thing looking at YouTube, but you see the amount of people so the coolest part to me is not just the music, it's how you see people unite at a place to just get together and have a good time. Like if you don't know who's from where, bro, but everybody's just relaxing. The music is playing. Some people are dancing. Some people are just, hanging out, but everybody's humming around with the music. And it's this really cool, happy place. And then you come back home. Cool things. Right? And I'm like, everybody's an asshole for some reason. Like, they need to go to Tomorrowland.
It's crazy, yeah, because like at the festivals, yeah, most people, it's usually a really good vibe, man. People are together and having fun, and there's don't really see any fights breaking out or nothing like that. Everybody's just there to have fun and vibe, man.
I'm like, how cool would it be if in normal life everybody behaved that way? Like if I go to work and I meet somebody, I'm like, hey man, what's going on? Like, I'm nothing, bro. Let's do this. I'm like, yes, that's cool. But it doesn't work like that, man. You come back and suddenly everybody's an asshole. I'm like, what just happened? It's but when is the EDC? When is it happening?
It's in I think October, November.
Oh, sorry, November. Yes, November.
Yeah, and tickets are going out right now, so they're probably going to get
start on sale tomorrow. Yeah, they go up on sale tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So to recap, we started off with squatters' rights in Florida, which they don't have any rights anymore in Florida. So there's no more squatter rights in Florida. And then we went right into, we talked about the upfront or TBD approval.
Underwriting.
Yeah, underwriting and TBD approval. So if you guys are out there looking for loans and things like that, obviously contact Yaya. Yaya will talk to you all about it. But if you're already connected with a lender that you want to talk to, ask them about that. Ask them about the TBD approvals, the TBD underwriting. So that's some really good information for you guys. And then we talked about some fun stuff. So so we'll see you guys next week then. Thank you for joining us today on the Real Deal Trio podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting worlds of real estate, business, and mastering that sweet life balance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us continue delivering content that matters to you. Stay pumped for our upcoming episodes, jam-packed with expert insight, game-changing strategies, and Florida real estate. For more exclusive contents and behind-the-scene action, follow us on Facebook, search for The Real Deal Trio group page, and for Instagram at The Real Deal Trio Pod. And for YouTube, search for The Real Deal Trio Podcast. We will have all these links to our social media account and some more in the description. We would love to be your go-to experts for all your real estate needs in Florida. Shoot us an email, realdealtrio@gmail.com. Until next time, keep balancing the hustle, the deals, and the moments that make life truly extraordinary. This is the Real Deal Trio podcast, signing off.